Hello, I'm Rob Jones, and joining me is Aref Boualwan, Strategy Officer, World Economic Forum Group, and CCC Group Manager for Digital Transformation. Aref is one of our shortlisted candidates for the Construction Technology Leader category of the 2021 Construction Technology Awards. The awards celebrate new approaches and best-in-class use of technology within the built environment. In this category, we've shortlisted leaders who have successfully led the planning, adoption, or use of digital technology in the built environment. The winner will be announced on the 2nd of June during the Construction Technology Festival in Dubai. Aref, was technology always a focus for you within construction, or is it something that grew over time?
First, thanks, Rob, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be hosted by yourself. Well, I've always had passion, but not for technology as a technology. To be honest, it might not look for history. This is what motivated me into technology. And let me illustrate how. Basically, when I was a child, I used to read about the impact of the steam power innovation in the late 18th century, early 19th century, over what was called the first industrial revolution and how it brought the production environment to the second industrial revolution, where with electrification and combustion engine in the late 19th century, early 20th, and how we ended up having the railways, the planes, and how people could commute more, to the third industrial revolution technology that you and I have witnessed before, which is the automation and the invention of computer, internet, globalization, impact, etc. And now we're living the fourth, as you know. So really, what excited me from day one about technology is how it impacted humanity during the last 200 years history.
Okay, now you also mix this focus on technology, I feel, with a focus on sustainability issues, which you talk about a lot, looking at aspects such as emissions within construction. What change are you trying to bring about?
Well, there's more than one dimension to this question for me to answer. First and foremost, there are new rules of success in the world. It's no more companies are held accountable towards their shareholders. Companies are held accountable towards stakeholders, environment, humanity at large. From that perspective, and being which is my main job in the construction industry, we cannot ignore the fact that we emit as a contractors 10% of the world's CO2. But if you add to that the built environment that we construct, it's 40% of the world CO2. So having almost 40% emitted by our industry makes an obligation on leaders like us to be engaged with many organizations worldwide, especially related to many forums or United Nations, etc., to work with other thought leaders to see how we can better improve our portfolio for the generations to come.
And then what kind of conclusions are you beginning to draw? Because I know you've been involved in some interesting projects, and you must be looking at things like net zero, embodied carbon, etc.
The way we build can be improved a lot with electrification, with using renewables, etc. for the industry, or hydrogen that's coming, the clean hydrogen. Nevertheless, what's the most of the focus that we do, and this is the hat I wear I'm being member of the Global ABC, which is a United Nations organization as a spin-off of the 2015 Paris Climate Agreement, to align the construction and build industry with the Paris Agreement. So what we do basically is we do studies on net zero carbon city, and Rob, now in Europe, many cities have committed to 2030 being net zero, which deduce four things out of four pillars in the net zero carbon city, to answer you. One is a highly efficient building. That's one of the pillars. Second is smart infrastructure. Without smart infrastructure, if you can't quantify something, you cannot manage it. Third, electrification combined with renewable energy, etc. And fourth, I'm sure you hear about what's called now the compact city, whereby you can walk and get to everything you need within 10 to 15 minutes. So these are the four pillars of what's called net zero carbon cities. And with many, I had the privilege with many thought leaders to work on many reports, be it in the World Economic Forum or Global ABC.
And actually, one of the fourth pillar that you've talked about there, that's a real ambition for a lot of cities to create that compact, walkable city, and a city where you can live, work, you have your
shopping, outing.
Exactly, all within walkable distance. That's such an important area that's being looked at more and more.
Why should I have you have a electrical car? Maybe you don't need a car. That's the idea. So rethinking, this is the impact of changing the question, not only finding answer for existing question. That's the beauty of the fourth industrial revolution.
So how does construction technology help or get involved in this?
Well, as CCC and being a leader, there are many responsibilities and obligation of being. You cannot just be a leader in turnover and sales and executing jobs. So you have to be engaged, because if leaders don't do it in the world, when I talk about the private sector, who should this be a responsibility only of the public sector, of the academia, of the policy provider, of the private sector? Who should be responsible for what we're talking about? Who should be accountable? Everybody. And this is where we as CCC, wearing the helmet, we are get engaged in many public-private partnership, be it with the World Economic Forum, with other, with public company, policymaker, academia, startups, technology, or with the global ABC, United Nations. So unless everybody comes together on a round table and works toward that objective, no one alone can do it. It's impossible.
Is there a project that you're particularly proud of where construction technology was pivotal?
Well, many, to be honest. But if I have to choose one, if the answer is to choose one, it would be in mid to late 2018, when we completed the first 3D printed house. It was hailed to be the first livable 3D printed house. Before that time, nobody could do a livable house that you can get a permit and safe to live in. It was more prototypes. So we did it in Saudi Arabia with the Ministry of Housing as part of 23rd Division of KSA, which was, I think, this is the closest to my heart, and probably close to my heart, not only because of the interesting type of the project, but also because we worked so hard. And it was really the toughest by far as to deliver it within what we thought the success criteria at the time.
I've seen the house actually, and I know you worked with some other. I think, was it a Dutch contractor for the printing part?
We hired Taibi at the time, 3D printing startup.
So what did you learn from that project?
Collaboration would be the first thing that comes to my mind. We brought everybody. We brought people from the public sector in Saudi Arabia, with the policy makers, people with from expert in the custom, because many things that we wanted to import didn't have permits to do that. We brought the startups, and most importantly, what we call committees in CC, a group of subject matter experts from within the group that have diversified subject background, IT, HR, administration, etc., that they can sit with all the other team I mentioned, think loudly, and come up with solutions to a problem we never thought of before.
And is that the point where maybe you saw the future of 3D printing as being viable?
Yeah, for sure. At the time, many things we can do now, we couldn't do at the time. You know, so the evolution in 3D printing is three-dimensional. One is the robot itself, which is now we have the gantry system or the robotic arm. Second are the software, but most importantly, and this is where the big evolution happening, is the material. The cost of the material and the specification of the material will make 3D printing prevail in the future, because the other two are pretty much mature.
So in terms of how far you've got in your career, what skills do you think have been most important for you to reach this point?
Well, it's a combination of three exposures, I would say. The combination, I feel, gives me the opportunity and the privilege to be able to deliver such large projects and complex, especially in adopting new technologies. First, my personal exposure to the World Economic Forum, Global EC, and other sector, which with that you work with so many amazing thought leaders and other organizations. You learn a lot from them. You cannot do it alone. Second, in CCC, I had the opportunity to design and develop strategies aligned with business model, with the business vision to use these technologies. And I had also the opportunity to lead a set of strategic initiatives that execute this strategy into ground. And third, I would say my engagement with the startups, because as you know, Rob, I sit on a few startups board, and without startups and technology that's still evolving, I don't think you can do much in the fourth industrial revolution. The pace is so quick. You cannot rely on only big player and stable technology providers. So you have to include these startups. So combining the three, I think was the recipe of success in many areas.
And flipping that, what do you think those who work with you are learning from you?
Well, if I have to choose one thing, your question, interesting question, Rob. I would say fail soon to succeed earlier. Failure is not only okay, it's required. You cannot do something that nobody did. And that's Elon Musk said it, that if you don't fail, it means you're not doing something new. And we like to do something new. So failure is part of success, but the name of the game, fail soon to succeed earlier. Don't take a year or two to realize you're on the wrong path. Okay, try to minimize the cost to change strategy and adopt new thinking, new methods in order to reach the objective.
And we've talked in the past about how you run pilot projects. Is that what you're referring to there in terms of how you would look at pilot projects and test whether something is viable?
Yes, for sure. When we talk about viable projects or initiative, we call them, we like to keep it with the word initiative, because the moment this is a reality, then it becomes something repetitive in the process. Talking about initiative, I like to think of it that first of all, you don't have a plan. Forget plan, forget MBA things that we learn in schools. The first, you just need to have a purpose, why we're doing things. People has to understand why we're doing. They don't have to have a clear destination, not at all. Engage all the subject matter experts and parties in the thinking methodology, be it with a structural approach like we did in the beginning, dropping survey to collect idea, or just in a meeting, informally get their ideas and buy in. Take them through a journey that they would love. The journey, exciting journey, although you might not be guaranteeing a clear destination. If you have these three things, creating a purpose, engaging people, and a lovely journey you take them through, I think you will do wonder. That all has to be set within the context, of course, of a set of strategies that you have, and it has to align with your business model, what business you're in, what mega trends are going around your business. So I think this is the one of the recipes I would recommend to run initiatives.
How does digitalization give you an advantage, a competitive advantage in construction? Because it must.
Well, in general, technology people, there's something called engineering sense. I'm sure everybody hears this word a lot. There's something else I call technology sense. Technology people have different perspectives, usually, to any problem. Whenever I go to do anything in a shop, unconsciously, I would think, oh, the process can be automated. I remember once that I was queuing, and I realized that the drive-through is faster than queuing inside, and then you can get the process. You think of the process. You think different. There is a technology sense. Which gives you a perspective, I think, a bit unique compared to other trades. Having said that, alone, it will not help. You need for that to be horizontal and to be able to use the sense and add value to whatever you interact with. You have to understand the business and understand what mega trends are going around you. And this is where you can use your engineering or technology sense to drive things in the right direction, and gives you a big advantage over others.
And finally, and related to the previous question, how are you seeing attitudes towards construction technology changing within the industry? Because, I mean, even in just the past year, I've seen a big change in the way people talk about about technology within the sector compared to pre-COVID, for instance?
Very true. I mean, as you very well and rightly said, COVID is by its own. There is a new reality after COVID. Nevertheless, I would add a few other things that changed the attitude of people during my career, at least, because it's still negative, but less negative than before. I wouldn't say it became positive in our industry in general. I'm not talking about CC, I'm talking in general. It's still compared to other industries, the attitude is not very positive. But we see first main reason before COVID was the goodbye golden age, the golden age where contractor could have margin of profit and live without the need for automation is gone. Now we see many contractors struggling with very low margins. They have to adopt new methodologies to be able to sustain and be profitable. Second reason why the attitude became more positive are the new rules of success. Nowadays, we know that without the fourth industrial revolution technologies, we cannot improve as an industry our impact against the sustainability goals, on top of which is the environment. So unless we adopt new ways, usually the answer you find in technologies. And third, I would say the mega trends around us. There is a huge infrastructure investment gap in the world. Yesterday, President Biden declared a $2 trillion investment in USA. And with all the power of US economy, he had to increase the tax on corporates from 21 to 28 to cover that. And this is not exception to USA. In other countries, it's even worse, the situation. So the infrastructure gap, the urbanization around us, COVID-19 will balance that a bit, but urbanization, by all studies show that by 2050, 80% of people will live in cities. And the one that you first started with and during this interview, Rob, is the net zero carbon city. So this is another mega trend. Without going into detail, having these three dimensions forced leaders in the industry to change their attitude, because simply nobody has the answer. And now we're trying to find answers using fourth industrial revolution.
Aref, thanks for your time and good luck with your shortlist for the Construction Technology Leader Award.
Thank you very much, Rob. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.